himself very well. We're delighted, Larry, you're here and running.
Thank you.
As a real progressive against Representative Larson in the 2nd Congressional District. That's the best news I've heard in a long time. I've had the privilege of being on a panel, healthcare panel with Larry several times in the last 2 or 3 years in Everett and various places around the Northwest. Very articulate, very well informed on the issues, and brings a lot of experience to his candidacy. Larry has lived in Bellingham for 16 years. Before that, he's lived in Europe for 11 years, 10 of which I think were in France. He knows more about healthcare than most people, including from other countries. And in this country, we tend not to want to learn from other countries, but you really have. Larry's been a progressive on all the important issues for a number of years now. He was an early opponent of the Iraq War. He was a delegate, national delegate to the Democratic National Convention for Bill Bradley in 2000, for Dennis Kucinich in 2004. He's been president of Healthcare for All in Washington State, which is a single-payer activist group for national health insurance, for 2 years. And you've been president of the Washington State Progressive Caucus for a year. Larry has a website, kalbforcongress.com, which is an excellent website. It'll tell us about his positions on jobs, on homes, on healthcare, on campaign finance reform, on the environment, on a whole bunch of things, and you're adding to it all the time. Anyhow, delighted you're here. It's really important. The healthcare thing, which you know a lot about, is just a total disaster now, as we know. And it's been, as Larry knows full well and will describe for us, it's a huge bailout for not just insurance industry, but hospitals and the whole medical industrial complex at our expense. And it's not going to save money, and it's not going to, it'll subsidize some increased access for a while, which we can't afford. And anyhow, it misses the whole point. Meanwhile, the insurers, just in the last few months, as you're reading, and even in the last week around the country, are increasing their premiums up to 56% in Michigan and 39% in California. And there aren't real good ways of swatting those down. Anyhow, really glad you're here, Larry. Welcome to the island, and I'm glad you're running.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John, for that wonderful introduction. And I'm really happy to be here on such a beautiful day on the San Juan Islands. And I'm really happy that you've come here to listen to me, because it is such a beautiful day outside. I'm going to have a seat, if you don't mind.
Please.
My name, again, is Larry Kalb, and I am from Bellingham, Washington, and I want to be your next congressman for this district. And here are a number of reasons why, and there are two. One, I think our congressman is way too expensive for us. And secondly, I don't trust him with our hard-earned taxpayer dollars to do the right thing. Let me give you an example. Over the past 10 years, he has approved every funding request for the Iraq and Afghanistan wars to the tune of over $1 trillion. Oh, God. Over $1 trillion, and for what? He has also spent money on the first bank bailout. He has also spent money on the stimulus package. And John is exactly right. He cozied up to the sweetheart deal when it came to the fake healthcare reform. And that would cost us dearly. And for those reasons, I decided that I was going to put my hat in the ring and say, we need new representation, better representation in Washington, D.C.